this lesson, we're going to learn how to build a chart. We're going to see several different ways to do it, how to manipulate it a little bit, and then what some of the chart elements are. So let's go to our Build a Chart tab. And as you see, I've got a table here for our bakery data, just summed up by the stores and the days of the week. So first thing let's do is scroll down a little bit so my table is there. And then we want to freeze panes because we always want to see the table. So I'm going to click on row 14 and do my view and freeze panes. Now the fastest way to make a chart in Excel is to click anywhere in a table of data and hit your F11 key. And Excel will make a clustered column chart. Very basic, have its own formatting, and it will put it on its own sheet tab. You see how we came off of the Build a Chart tab into Chart 4? You can manipulate the chart here as well. It's a sheet just dedicated to a chart. What we're going to do today is mostly deal with charts on the same worksheet. So let's go ahead and delete this. And again, that quick way to make a chart is just hitting the F11 key. Well, now let's try the quick analysis tool. So if I'm on my table and I do a Control-A to highlight the whole table, I get my quick analysis helper in the bottom right. And if I click on that, then you see I can apply formatting quickly. I can go to charts, totals, tables, and spark lines, but we're just going to look at charts. So here's another way to quickly create a clustered column chart. And we'll click on that. And now let's look at some of the things about the chart. Just a couple things. If you notice the edges of the chart, we have these little circles. These are handles, which I can make the chart bigger or smaller. And I can do it on the diagonal as well. And if I click on the edge when the handles are active, I can actually drag that chart and move it somewhere else. Now, one of the things about charts is they are drawing objects, so they sit on top of the worksheet. So if I do this, I'm putting the chart over data in the cells. It doesn't go away, it's just sitting on top of it. So far we've created two clustered column charts. Let's try another way to create a chart, and we'll do a stacked column so you can see the difference. I'll come to my table again, and now we're going to go up to the insert ribbon. So I'll click that, and over here is a charts group, and you can click quickly on recommended charts, or you have all the individual types of charts right here as well. Let's go ahead and do recommended charts first and see what it says. So Excel said, hey, what about a clustered column or a clustered bar, stacked bar, and here's a stacked column. If we don't see our option there, we can always go to all charts, and then we can go into the base type, which would be column, and we have many different types of column charts. So clustered is the most common. Let's do a stacked so you see a difference. And click OK. And now first thing I'll do is I'll grab that chart and move it down here. And you see the difference? In the clustered column, each of the stores is next to each other. So they're individual. It's a little easier to see the exact values of each store. In the stacked column, we're seeing the total sales across stores, but the revenue from each store is stacked on top of each other. So we can kind of see what contributes the most. These can be useful. Sometimes it's tricky. You might really want to know, what is the best month for Manhattan, which is red. And it can be tough to do if you have a stacked column. But that's the difference. And that's the main reason I wanted to show you that is so you know why it's called a clustered column, because all the categories get clustered together on one entry on the axis. Well, let's go down and do a bar chart now. So I'll go make room available here, go back to my table. And this time, let's go to Insert again. And let's go to Recommended Charts again. And it's recommending a bar chart. So let's just take that one. And it made us a clustered bar chart. Let's move that down here. And what about a line chart? Well, let's do something else now. We have this chart already. It's got the data we want. We might not want to go through all the menus again. So let's take this and copy it. I'm going to right click on that, copy, and then I'll scroll down a little bit and click here and paste that. And I still have a clustered bar chart, but watch what we can do. If I right click on it, I can go up to change chart type. And here's a way, if you have a chart, you can just change it to another type. So I can go up here to my line chart, click on that, and there's several different line variations as well. We'll stick with the basic, and click OK. And that made a line chart for us. So now we've seen 4 or 5 different ways to make a chart. You can use your F11, you can use the quick analysis tool, you can go to the insert ribbon and get access to all of the chart types there, or you can copy a chart and change the chart type. Just for your benefit, I want to show you too. When I'm on this chart, if I click on the chart design, there's that change chart type right there as a tool on my ribbon. So now that we've seen how to create some charts, let's look at a few of the elements. So I'm going to scroll up here to my cluster chart, and I'm going to zoom in on that a little bit. And I'm going to take my freeze panes off, and then I'm going to zoom in on my chart a little bit. So this chart is a drawing object, but it's composed of many different elements. When I just click on the chart, that's the chart area. Let me go up here to the format ribbon of the charts. And over here you'll see what item I'm on. I'm on the chart area. If I wanted to format that, I could right click and go to Format Chart Area. And that puts the formatting options over here. We're going to cover that in more detail in another module, but I just want to show you this because watch what happens. Next thing I want to do is show you the plot area, and this is basically where the chart is constructed. So I'll click here, I got the plot area. And then you have different choices of formatting over on the right. So everything in this chart, if you click on it, you can format it differently. It's really flexible, but also it can be tricky to know what item you're on. If I go over to the left, I can click over here, and this is the vertical, or sometimes called the y-axis. Excel also calls it the value axis, because typically these are numbers. On the bottom here, we have an x-axis, and that's more of the category axis. And again, options change over here for formatting. Up at the top, we have a chart title. So if I click on that, now I actually am going to change something here. I can just retype a title here now. I can type in Revenue by Store. And then at the bottom, I have a legend. And that tells me what colors correspond to which categories. Now I will show you one thing here. We're going to get into this more in other modules, but I do want to show you some legend formatting. If I come over here, I've got fills, and I've got effects, and then I've got legend options. If I click that, so the legend is on the bottom right now, but here's a really quick way. You can put it on the top of the chart, you can put it on the bottom as we had it, on the left, or on the right, or on the top right, so it's kind of out of the way. And I'll go ahead and put it back on the bottom. So the last thing I want to show you is the data series. So when we clicked here, we were on the plot area, but if I click on one of my columns, then I'm actually selecting that data series. And I can do things I can format it. One thing I can do too is if I don't want it, I can hit the delete key and just take it right off the chart. And now if I wanted to get that back, I could do a Control-Z, or a neat thing you can do with charts is I've already built this chart and I've got Brooklyn, Manhattan, and Queens. Well, I took off Manhattan. What if I want to add it back? I will highlight that row, do a copy, Control-C, and then if I right-click on my chart, I can paste it, and it pasted that data series back into my chart. That's pretty neat. Okay, so now we've seen how to build a chart. Next module up is going to be formatting, so let's get ready for the next lesson.